Okay, there's three different categories that I'm going to give you about cameras, right? You got budget, you got professional, and you got cinema, like Hollywood. It all depends on what you're trying to do as far as quality. Are you trying to compete with Hollywood quality? Do you really just trying to save money? Or are you somewhere in between? If you are somebody that is recording cat videos, videos of your little baby and just watch them on the big TV for you and your family, just memory, posting stuff on social media, IG, YouTube, and the such, then a budget camera, for the most part, is typically fine. But if you're trying to take your quality to the next level, if you're trying to compete with Hollywood, if you're doing something like, if you're trying to make a living off of what you do as far as filming or photography, if you are trying to compete with Hollywood, if you are doing professional music videos, then it would be better for you to invest in a professional camera. And I will get into the comparison, a quick comparison, and the kind of a typical price range of these cameras. So for example, if you're on a budget, you can use your phone, which is what most people do. A lot of people spend people nowadays are spending like $1,500 on a cell phone. People will spend, like $1,500 on a TV. And it's like, if you are willing to invest that kind of money into a TV or a cell phone, then if you're serious about your what you're doing, you're trying to make money off of, then you should be willing to invest that and even more into your camera gear. And so what we have to realize is Hollywood cameras are anywhere from, I would say, about $10,000 to $100,000. Now, I know that is a lot of money. Most of us cannot afford that. And so this is why I'm going to give you a professional camera will cost you probably somewhere between about $2,000 and $8,000, $2,000 and $6,000, $2,000 and $8,000, and that's not including the lens. So with professional cameras, you have to buy the camera and the lens separately. Now, they do have some deals where you can get it as a kit, but most professional cameras don't come with the lens. If you see it as a kit, it's because they bundled it together, because that's probably one of the most bought type of lenses, or kind of the most versatile lenses that most people use. So $2,000 to $8,000, or $2,000 to $6,000, or even $2,000 to $10,000, somewhere off in that range. I would say right about now, I've seen some really high-end professional cameras that run about $5,000. So if you're somewhere around that range, that's a really good range to be in. But like I say, if you even spend $2,000 on a camera, somewhere around $2,000. I'm not saying right at $2,000, might be a little bit more, but I'm saying somewhere around that price. Like, for example, the camera that I have now, not including the lens, the camera is like $17.99. It's an EOS R, Canon EOS R. And like I say, it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing YouTubing or something like that, you know, cameras like this and under are pretty much fine. For what I'm doing, I actually wanted something better than this. And so I use this camera for YouTube, but I really don't use it for, it's not my go-to camera for like what I would do if I was shooting videos. So the R5, the Canon R5, the Canon R5C, even the Canon R6 is a step above this one. But the R6, the R5, and the R5C are those that I would recommend for somebody that's really, really serious about video. And for the budget, is nothing left but, you know, about $1,500 or $2,000 and under. So I know that seems like a lot of money. Wow, $1,500 or $1,799. Like I say, this camera is $1,799 and under. It just depends on the camera and the deals that are going on. But that's why I said between $1,500 and $2,000 and under would typically be budget cameras. Now, no, like I say, for a lot of us, we're like, oh, wow, $2,000 for a camera, that's a lot of money, and that's not even including the lens in some cases. So, but a lot of budget cameras, most of them come with the lenses. But I kind of consider this camera, it's kind of like right on the fence of budget and professional quality. I still kind of consider it on the budget side, but for YouTube, like a vlogging camera or something like that, I feel like this camera is pretty darn good. I still would take it a step up for what I'm trying to do. But as long as you have very good lighting, this camera is fine. The reason I want to go a step up from this, even with my YouTube vlogging, is because of just the way that it captures light, the ISO settings with this camera, or and it's a lot of different reasons for that, which is what I'll get into with this. So ISO is one of the things that I look at when looking at a camera, and a lot of people don't understand these things because we just look at price. We just look at price, and price is not everything. And we see that a camera can record in 8K or 4K or whatever it is, and we assume that, oh, it shoots in 8K. It can shoot 8K just like Hollywood cameras. Your phone, there's phones that come out that are coming out now that can shoot 8K. 8K on a phone or a cheap camera is gonna be nothing like the 8K in Hollywood, and that's what people fail to realize. Like, and that's why I say some people are not serious. They want everything on a budget. Like, you know, I hate to say it, but women spend over the years, women spend so much money on makeup and hair. If they would take that money and add it all up, hair, makeup, nails, you know, clothes, just a lot of different things. And if we would take, you know, that money and invest it, save it up, and say, hey, I'm not gonna, because I've done it. I've went without a lot of things. Like, I wore clothes and bought shoes from Walmart. Just, you know, people looked at me like I was crazy. And it's like, but now that I'm at that level where I have like studio quality, like Hollywood quality studio equipment and stuff like that, like it was worth it. You know, so who's laughing now? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's those same people that were looking at me laugh. It's kind of like when we were in school, we used to look at certain people that, you know, wore the same shoes year after year after year. Same beat up shoes that were passed down. But anyways, sometimes, you know, doing that, it pays off in the end. So like I said, ISO, Hollywood, one of the Hollywood cinema cameras that I was looking at, the ISO speed on that camera is like, it's like 100,000. It's like 102,000 or something like that ISO speed. The ISO speed on it is like 102,000 or something like that. And so what I'm saying is, I look at settings on a Hollywood professional camera, and then I try to find something in the professional world of camera. So like I say, Hollywood cameras are anywhere from like $10,000 to $100,000. And so I look at specifications on those type of cameras, and then I go a step down into the professional category because I don't record films. I don't record movies. And so what I'm trying to find is that when I look at that, I'm trying to find a camera that is not a cinema camera, but is right up under a cinema camera. So it's basically the best video or camera that you could use for like shooting video, music videos and stuff like that, without stepping into the cinema category, right? Don't waste money that you don't have to. So it's kind of the same thing with budget. if you're a budget camera, if you're somebody that is, you don't plan on recording music videos, there's really no, you don't have to spend money on a professional camera. If you're not somebody that's gonna be making money off of what you do, like especially like big money, like if you're not making a living off of what you do, you might not need to buy a professional camera. And when I say professional, I'm talking about like $2,000 to $8,000, $2,000 to $6,000 and up. You might can buy, if you still want like really high quality, but you don't want to break the bank. Like I say, you might have to go with a camera that's under 2,000 or under like, you know, 2,500. You know, somewhere off in that range. Like I say, this camera that I got right here, the Canon EOS R, it was $17.99. So, and if you would have got it on, sometimes they run sales. I think somebody said during Black Friday, this camera was down to like $11.99 or something like that. So the deals are out there, you know, but I never knew that. I wish I would have got this camera for $11.99, but you know, it's a nice camera, but it all depends on what you're trying to do. And then Canon just came out with another lineup of cameras. That came out with the R7 and the R10, and my teacher said that the R7 is like one of the best budget cameras that's out right now. And it's a crop frame sensor. I don't like crop frame sensors. There's a lot of reasons why. They don't really use them in Hollywood. They use full frame sensors in Hollywood. But if you're somebody that's not really trying to compete with Hollywood, you're not really making money, you're not trying to make money off of what you do. If you're just trying to record, you know, cat videos and dog videos and just wanting to buy a really good camera without breaking the bank, cameras like that are very good, because by you buying a crop sensor, you actually you save money on a lot of different things, lenses, and you know, just those cameras are typically cheaper, and they're still really close to, you know, the professional category of cameras. So there's a lot of other things I look for, like frames per second, uncropped resolutions. A lot of cameras that shoot 8K and 4K, when 4K was just kind of like becoming a big thing, what y'all fail to realize is the camera will say, oh, it shoots 4K, or oh, it shoots 8K, but y'all don't know that that is a cropped 4K or a cropped 8K. So the thing is, your lens, you already have a smaller, not lens, you already have a smaller sensor inside of your camera, and then it's gonna crop it even more. So you don't get to, it's gonna make your sensor even smaller than what it really is. So that's another downside. That's another thing that about this camera, because it came out, the R came out so long ago, it still has a 4K crop. And I don't like that, because shooting video, I will only be recording in 4K or higher. But now for like YouTube vlogging and stuff, I don't record in 4K, I only record 1080p. So it's actually fine for, you know, the YouTube vlogging and stuff like that. As long as I have really good lighting, there's nothing wrong with this camera right here. You know, even if I were to switch into 4K mode and it cropped it, I mean, it is what it is, you know. For that type of money, $1,700 with a full frame, that's kind of like what you get. And then, like I say, this one has a little bit higher ISO than some of the cheaper cameras. But also, like your data capture rate, I don't know if that, yeah, bits per second, but this camera captures like at a really quite a bit of a high data rate compared to some of the cheaper cameras. So this ISO is a little bit higher, and then the bits per second is a little bit higher, and also the sensor size. And then the thing that I did like about going with a full frame over APS-C, a crop frame, the sensor, the budget cameras, is the lighting, like I said, but then also your choice of lenses. With a full frame camera like this one, the Canon EOS R, you're able to buy premium lenses, like Hollywood grade quality lenses for these. And that is what I wanted. Right now I'm using a basic lens, and I'm actually not shooting in a high data rate. So this may look really, almost really close to a crop frame camera. But I do have the option to take it a step further, you know. So also the dynamic range on cameras. You got some cameras right now might be like 10 stops of dynamic range. I think it's dynamic range on a camera. Some cameras can do 12 stops of dynamic range. Some can do 16 and higher. So that has to do with, like, the way that I would explain it is how it kind of pulls you into the image, makes you look like you're actually there. It looks, I don't want to say 3D, but that's the only way I know how to explain it. The clouds look more real. Like anything that is kind of like three-dimensional, it looks more three-dimensional, it looks more real. So those things are very important to me when you're trying to compete with Hollywood. I would never go budget. I would never go budget. But if you're somebody who is new to the filming industry and you haven't really figured out what camera you want, I like to give people advice and help people decide which type of cameras to buy. This is exactly why I'm doing this video. First, you would want to find out what category you fall into, like what are you doing? Everybody wants to save money. A lot of people that I talk to and hear my teacher talk to, they all want to spend the least amount of money as possible, but they all want Hollywood grade quality. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, we don't understand that Hollywood cameras are $100,000, $10,000 to $100,000. Like, there's no such thing as saying, I only have $100, but I want Hollywood grade quality camera. I only have $500, but I want Hollywood grade quality camera. I only want to spend $300 on a camera, but I spent $1,500 on my cell phone. I spent $1,500 on my television. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, so I think it's very important if you're somebody that, there's nothing wrong with starting out with a budget camera and working your way up. If you can't afford it, you know, if you can't afford a professional camera, like right now, I cannot afford a $100,000 cinema camera. But it doesn't even matter because I don't shoot films. So don't overspend, but at the same time, don't shoot yourself in the foot by being cheap. This is an investment, you know, and if you're on a budget, you might as well just use your phone, and instead of you spending $500 on a camera or $300 on a camera, it would benefit you to just save the little $300 or save the little $500 and save it up for a year or 2 years or whatever it is. And then next year, you know, you may have more money. You might have $1,000 or you might have $1,500. And now you're kind of getting into really closer to the professional world. And you're getting at the top of the budget category. So once you buy like one of the best budget cameras, then you're kind of like, you could really even though it's a budget camera, like I was saying, the Canon R7, even though that's kind of like a budget camera, that's like one of the best budget cameras that you can get from Canon. And probably right now, anywhere. And it's like, you know, I'm pretty sure Sony will come out with something else, but for the amount of money that camera, the Canon R7 costs right now, that's like one of the best cameras you can get right now. And I'm glad they did it because, you know, it's a lot of good talent out there, but the problem is nobody wants to invest. We don't do the research. We look at cameras. We know so much about Netflix and Hulu and all these different TV shows and stuff. We research these TV shows and we research so many different things. We research so many things in school. And when it comes to researching cameras, we know very little. And so we see the cameras at Best Buy or Walmart, and we assume, well, that camera looks like that camera, and this one is cheaper, so I might as well just get the cheaper one. Because we don't want to take the time to research and find out why that camera has a different price tag than that one. And I've tried a lot of different cameras, and I've posted them on my YouTube. I've posted the videos, and I've given y'all like budget cameras. I even gave y'all a camera that Canon came out with that was the M200. That was like $500. And it was like $500, $600 or $400, something like that. I think it's like $500. And it's the same, it's pretty much the same camera as the M50, but the M50 is like a little bit more, $150 more, I think. And there's slightly different things that are different about it, but as far as quality goes, it's the same camera. And, you know, for $500, you can get a pretty good camera for like something like shooting vlogs, YouTube, or posting content on IG or whatever. You know, if you're just doing something like that, or just shooting little videos of your dog or something like that and watch them on your family TV, that's fine for that type of stuff. But like I say, if you're trying to I've gave my opinion and feedback about cameras like that, and I explained pros and cons, and I said it's all about what you're trying to do with it, all right? And so, like I say, for vlogging, I think that $500 camera was a very good camera, especially for somebody that is somebody's first camera. That's a very good camera. Now, this Canon R7 that I was talking about, you're stepping up your game, like for real, for real. You're almost running neck and neck with this camera that I have, the Canon R. The Canon R7, I would say, is one step under the R6, if you're not including it. It's one step under this one, but it's very, very close to the R6 as well. And so, because it shoots 8K, and a lot of other things. This one doesn't shoot 8K, but even though it only shoots 4K and the 4K is cropped, it's still, the data rate and the image sensor on this one is better. So it's pros and cons to it, but these are some cameras that I would recommend. The Canon EOS R, the Canon R7, on the budget side. That's like the high side of the budget side. And then if you want to take it a step further, you would go with something like the Canon R6 or the R5. Now me, I'm a fan of the R5. The Canon R5, I'm a fan of it. That is the camera that a lot of video professionals are using right now. Even my teacher is using the R5. And so this is the camera that I'll be getting pretty soon. just because it just does a lot of things. And it basically, the R5 is like the best camera you can get in the professional world if you're shooting videos and stuff, music videos and stuff like that, without going into the cinema category. I don't want to go into the cinema category. I don't need to. So, and the thing I like about that camera is I can use it for my YouTube videos. It has a better lighting than this one. But this is a very good camera. You got the right lighting. It's a very good backup camera. It's a very good starting camera, as well as the R7. So there's a lot of other cameras that I've used. There's a lot of other cameras that I've talked about. I've even talked about an older camera like the Canon T8i. The T8i was the camera that I probably would have told you all about that's up under the R before the R7 came out. Now that the R7 is out, the T8i would be a step under the R7. But the T8i would probably be, a step over the M200 and the M50 that I was telling you all about. So these are all very good cameras. Now, the thing about the Canon T, you have the T7, you have the T7i, you have the T8, and you have the T8i. Those are different cameras. Like anytime, even though you have an 8 and a T8i, a T8 and a T8i, or a T7 and a T7i, the ones with the I are better. They're different slightly, but the differences make a difference. Like I would always go with the I. They have, there's the budget side of it. It's kind of like the M50 and the M200. Like there's slightly different things about them, but the differences make a difference. It's like, are you trying to save money or are you trying to get better quality? So that's the thing. Like a lot of people just look at money and they say, oh, I want to spend less money. This one's cheaper, but I'm going to get this one. And other people will say, oh, this one costs more, I'm going to get this one. But that's not good either way. You need to do your research. Sometimes you could be spending an extra $200 and you don't need to. Sometimes you could be trying to save $200 and you're really screwing yourself out of a lot of quality. So if I was you, if I was very, very serious about recording, I would go right now, I would go with the R7. The R7 is a camera right now that is really, it just came out recently, and for a budget, I'm giving you I'm giving you two categories. I'm not gonna talk about cinema cameras. I don't care to talk about it. I'm gonna give you two cameras in the budget category, and one camera in the budget category and one camera in the professional category. In the budget category, I'm telling you, the R7 by Canon. It just came out recently. In the professional category, I'm gonna tell you the R5. Now, that's not a budget camera, but that is a professional camera. So like I say, I mentioned some other ones, but those two are my top recommendations right now for cameras.